Starmine.
Hey everybody, welcome to StarminePodcast episode 11. I'm David.
And I'm John, Air1355.
Nick had some work issues and couldn't be here this week. And John's back from space. So here we are.
I was in space?
You didn't watch last week, well, the last video we put out? Of course you didn't. yeah.
I just talk. I don't listen.
Usually you're a part of it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I guess this episode we're going to talk about TGS a bit, but first off, John, what did you do past week?
About the same as I did before. I played a bit of WoW. I'm now, I think, level 22 or something, but I actually did a dungeon, which is a surprising amount of fun. I never even got that far before. I can see why I quit. I quit like right before it was a fun game.
Hey, John.
Yeah?
Never ever start gambling. Because you are just going to gamble yourself into nothing.
No, I think I am too self-aware of how much stuff costs to ever really enjoy gambling.
That's true.
I played NHL 14 a bit. They released an update already. One of the features that have yet to be... NHL 15. Did I say 14? 15.
Whatever it is.
The newest one. Did I talk about that at all? About like how there's like features missing?
You did not. The last episode we did with you, you were talking about how it was just going to be coming out soon.
Okay. Well, I got it. Looks fantastic. Sounds fantastic. There's a little bit before every game where they'll show you the actual NBC announcers doing a little intro for the game. I thought that was really cool the first time I saw it. Second time was alright. By about the 8th time, and they said the exact same damn thing as they did the previous 7 times, I'm starting to think they only recorded one intro. I know they didn't, but holy crap. It's always constantly, it's like, your best players only play 1/3 of the game in this sport. I'm like, okay. Gameplay is pretty spot on from the previous games. It's a new engine, so that's kind of impressive. Puck physics, which is real exciting.
Does it look good?
It looks pretty good. It's still a little weird when you collide. Sometimes it'll look really good. Sometimes it'll look like just a step below Ragdoll. A step above Ragdoll. It's got some problems, though, in terms of features. Like, the ability to draft your own players at the end of a season is not in the game.
Oh, really?
It is a patch coming in October. So, if you finish a season before the patch comes out, the computer just picks the players it drafts for you. Which there's an entire... You can scout for players the entire season, but then you don't get to pick any of them. They removed a bunch of the online components. They really dumbed down called Be a Pro mode, where you play as one position. And they removed the ability to... because the game goes in real time. I think you can change that in the settings. At least you could in the early PS3 games. But in this one, so you're playing, and you get on the bench, and there was an option where you can sim ahead to your next shift. But instead, you have to just sit and wait on the bench and watch the game play.
Wow.
Yeah. I'd be more upset if I played that mode, but that's pretty terrible. There used to be a whole online mode where you can have like a group of 5 people on a team, and you play as a team and you rank up and have ranks and everything, and eventually if you do well enough you can get into like a tournament. Nothing I ever played around with, but is a feature they completely removed from this that is in the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions. I heard rumors that they had to take people off of this game because they gave 2 years to make the next gen version. They didn't make a NHL 14 on the Xbox One and PS4. But yeah, it's I don't regret getting it. If you use any of those features, I would wait until it's cheaper, or just wait till next year, which I'm sure is going to be a hell of a lot better game.
This is an EA game, right?
Yep.
It's the second game EA has put out with features that normally are there, but they're going to patch in later.
Yeah, because they're not going to ever delay a game.
Yeah, that's Sims 4 territory right there. Have you gotten the Sims 4? You historically have been quite the Sims player.
That was I have really enjoyed Sims 1 and 2. I bought Sims 3, could never get into it. Realize it's going in a direction that I just really don't want to be in. Like, far too much role-playing and fashion, which I more have just wanted to...
Micromanage a bunch of living creatures?
Yeah, I guess that's right. But I saw some gameplay footage of the fourth one, and I think it might be fun in a situation, but the problem is if I don't get into it right now and then keep up with it, it's going to be like The Sims 3, and there's going to be like literally $500 of DLC.
Yeah. Do you remember when add-ons for The Sims were just shit that some dude made?
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, I made this 3D model of something, and we're going to put it in the game.
Yeah, I remember that in 2. I remember there was like entire fan sites where people would like charge money to download it.
Yep.
I think I paid once for that. It was like $5. And I downloaded it all and never needed it again.
Did you finish Ace Attorney? Remember we had talked about the games we wanted to finish before the next big podcast?
Yeah, I finished that case, but there was more, so... No, I haven't finished it.
Is that all you've done?
Yeah, I also, I pre-ordered the PlayStation TV because I need to own every PlayStation thing, apparently.
That's the one you can play like PSP games and like PlayStation Network games on, right?
Yeah, it has just like a port for Vita games on it.
Yeah, that's what I meant, Vita games, but I guess PSP games as well, right?
Yeah, I guess some PSP games. I would assume so. I can't imagine why not, and it's compatible with pretty much every Vita game I own. So why not? I might actually finish Persona 4.
I was gonna say you were playing Persona on there. You might actually finish it. I imagine a lot of these games would probably be easier with like a PlayStation controller instead of the actual thing itself.
Yeah, it's apparently how they work with like touchscreen controls is that you like click in the like R3 or L3 button, and then like move it around with it clicked in.
Yeah,
I mean that sounds like it makes sense, but there's some games that are just too dependent on, I guess, the specific functions of the screen or tilting or camera that just are not compatible and won't be on that. But
yeah. Well, I mean, there exists things that could replace those, like the PlayStation camera, the 6-axis. I don't know, does PlayStation 4 controller have 6-axis?
It's got I don't think it's 6-axis. Might be more advanced.
Okay. But I mean, it's got something similar, and then it has that touchpad on it. I wouldn't see why they couldn't, like, with some tweaking and probably the thing is that there'd be relatively large gameplay changes for you to make these things work.
Yeah, it might require actually bringing in like the developers to make a patch for it.
Yeah, instead of just straight porting them. That's probably why they aren't. Maybe later on they'll be more compatible if someone wants to try to sell their game to a slightly larger market.
Yeah, I do know that they mentioned to make sure it's compatible, make sure you have the most recent updates for your game. Mm-hmm. So maybe there is going to be like some overarching patch for like every game that's compatible for it.
Yeah. Just
to make it toggle and work for it. I don't know. I hear it will go to max 720.
Wow.
So I wonder how to look on the TV because it's like a little wider than an actual TV screen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they up-resed Peace Walker.
Yeah.
You know, that looks not great, but it doesn't look bad.
Yeah, the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions look way better than playing the PSP game on the Vita.
Yeah.
Which I bought that on the Vita as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's a good transition to what I've been doing. I finally beat Bayonetta, and I've moved on to Peace Walker.
All right.
Yeah. Did I cut you off on something? Or?
No, just Peace Walker.
Okay. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that game, and I wish that I was like more into the way it controlled.
I'm okay with the controls, at least on the PS3 version. Obviously, never played the PSP whatever version. It's a lot easier, but in doing so, it kind of makes you feel more badass. Like I usually would just tranquilize everyone, but it's actually a lot easier just to hold up everyone, since they just immediately go into like a lying position and don't get up unless there's an alert phase.
All right.
So, I mean, it also saves you ammo and time. Basically what I do is I walk up to people while crouched down, do the CQC slam, and then just hold them up immediately, and they flip over, put their hands behind their head, and I get 4 items out of them.
Yeah, you're making me want to. I'm thinking of the micromanaging part, which I like. Where you?
I knew that was going to be in there, and I played Portable Ops as well, as you know, since you lent me your PSP to do so. But I was surprised that it was going to be so similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
I also found it a little strange. I knew that there had been Doritos and Mountain Dew product placement in it, and now it's just like generics that they've changed the skins for. Seems kind of strange, but
Well, that's
whatever.
actually how it was in the original version in America. Those were Japanese-only promotions.
Oh, okay. I had just seen the pictures. I didn't know the history of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Metal Gear is mainstream enough for Doritos in America.
No, I guess not.
I mean, it's a very... I mean, they sell a hell of a lot of games, but you don't really hear the people talk about it like you hear about, like, Call of Duty or Battlefield.
There was actually something funny that happened. I was playing it yesterday, and our friend Nathan was over, and I was showing him that there was tortilla chips, like they're called T-chips, they're taco chips or whatever, and I was joking around saying like, yeah, that's the food item they got in this. He goes, yeah. He's like, so your army is fed on Doritos and Mountain Dew. And I went, give me a second. I took out my phone and found the picture that you see with Snake and the Doritos, and I'm like, this is an undoctored photo. And he's like, you're kidding me. And I'm like, wait a second. And I flip to the next one, and it's Snake with a Mountain Dew can. He's like, you gotta be I was joking.
Nope. No,
Yeah,
you
but-
were not. You were 100% right.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's a weird, like, knowing that's what it is, like, it seems kind of weird, like, out of context, but, like, even without context, like, why are there tortilla chip bags and lime soda, like, that seems kind of weird, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. The chaining of CQC takedowns is pretty cool. I've only done that so far in the tutorial, which is kind of funny because they clearly had to re-record some of the drill sergeant's instructions, because at some points he's like yelling really, really loud, and at some points he sounds like he's just gotten really, really tired.
Yeah.
He's just sort of given up, and then later he's back to yelling.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny, but yeah, but had a lot of fun with it. I got the tank or whatever it was, the armor personnel carrier, and then I just saved Chico. I was hoping to explore that little town he was in a little more, but first door I went to, he happened to be inside of, so whatever.
Yeah, because there's no difficulty level, so there's a few missions in there that are designed for you to play with like multiple people.
Yeah.
But completely possible to play on your own. I think I got like 3 robot bosses in. There's a lot of robot bosses.
Yeah.
Until
Yeah,
I just stopped playing.
I was looking at the co-op. I was actually going to ask you if you wanted to play. Maybe we can make that work and at least see how that goes.
True.
But whatever. But yeah, I guess I didn't talk much about Bayonetta. I was telling Nick at the last podcast that I got to the point where before I couldn't get past and then just immediately beat it, like first try. Revengeance must have just got me more used to the timing and everything, and I ended up beating it a few days after I started playing it again. It was really, really fun. It was definitely a platinum game. The ending reminded me a lot of God Hand because there's a dance number.
What?
It's silly. It's very strange and it's very silly. And it took me to the credits to realize that every single song in that is basically "Fly Me to the Moon" at different speeds and sung by different people.
What?
Yeah, every song in it, there's like this. I mean, like every song, like whenever you're fighting a boss and you start to win like really, really well, like this song pops up and it's like this really fast, like J-pop sounding song, and I never understood the words because I wasn't really listening because I was too busy, like killing angels and shit. And so, I was like thinking about it afterwards, and the credits were rolling, and it came up, like "Fly Me to the Moon" and then "Fly Me to the Moon" remix, like Umbran Climax remix or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, pretty much every song in this game that you remember is "Fly Me to the Moon," and because during the game, as I said, there's like a sped up version of "Fly Me to the Moon." During softer periods, there's like a slower, kind of more like regular version, and then there's like a slow version at the end that she pole dances to. It's a very strange game.
Well, okay. I guess since I own a Wii U, I should eventually just play them both.
Oh God, man! If you don't buy those, I'm gonna buy it and then just live at your place for a little while so I can play it. Because actually, that was one of the things. The trailer, I finally saw the full trailer for that. I was kind of keeping it off my radar, just because I didn't want to spoil anything. I mean, I knew that Jean didn't die because that's pretty damn obvious. But I was trying not to figure. I mean, they don't tell you anything, but it's kind of funny. Like Bayo has long hair in the first game, and Jean has short hair, and now they're reversed. Jean has long hair and Bayo has short hair. It's just weird little dumb things like that. But it looks about just as good. I've been hearing some stuff about not great sales though, but it's definitely kind of a a niche game, and I'm surprised that it's not selling so well though.
It's out.
But, yeah, it's out in Japan.
Oh, I was like, when did that come out in America? I didn't hear anything about it.
Apparently, though, in America is the only place where they're doing the dual release, the 1 and 2. So we're lucky.
All right, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, you really should play it. I think it's a little weird and kind of crazy, but I think you'd enjoy it once you got the combat down. But yeah, I mean, you played Revengeance, so you pretty much already have the combat down. There's even a samurai sword in the game where you can you can basically play Revengeance. That wind up attack that you start glowing with energy and everything in Revengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that attack is in Bayonetta. I found them both out around the same time. I didn't know that existed until I already beat Revengeance. But I guess that's pretty much all I've done. So I guess we'll move on to the kind of topic for this one, which is TGS. We're a little late to the party on it, but still stuff to talk about. First thing I'll mention before we get too deep into it, because I know we're going to want to talk about most of the other stuff more, is the gameplay. The gameplay. I've had the 10 minutes of gameplay that was shown for Bloodborne. I know this isn't really a game on your radar, but I know Nick, if he was here, he'd be gushing about it. But it looks really good. It looks like they've replaced the shield with a shotgun, and set it in Victorian London instead of dark fantasy world. It looks pretty good. I'm not. There's some stuff that I don't understand what the story's supposed to be, but it looks pretty good. Same sort of art style, same sort of combat, same sort of enemies, but as I said, with a shotgun instead of a shield. So I may pick that one up, sometime in the future and check on that one. Maybe it'll work out that I'll like that one better than like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on. I sent you this trailer today, but the trailer for Vane, we'd actually talked about Friend and Foe Games a few episodes back. Doesn't that trailer look fucking cool?
It does. It has a very distinct art style that you'd come to expect from them.
Yeah. I thought it looked a bit like Journey mixed with Eco. Just with the sands and everything,
Yeah.
Looks a little barren. I'm not so sure how expansive the open world's going to be, since it sounds like they're just sort of like in the one area over and over again. But I'm sure they can make it work. It looks pretty awesome. What do you think about it?
I think it looked really good. I didn't really read too much about what the gameplay really was, other than kind of maybe exploring.
Yeah, it looks like it's an exploration sort of thing, but it looks like you can turn into a bird. So I don't know if it's for short amounts of time, but I imagine if you can, turn into a bird. I guess going back on what I said before, there's probably going to be pretty expansive, just because you'll be able to cover a lot of ground all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, at least. Any more words on that?
I'm looking forward to seeing how that ends up.
Yeah. It's going to be on PC, I guess. So that'll probably show up on Steam or something like that.
Only on PC?
The official words on their website, which I'm going to include in the link in the description, is as platforms, PC first, others TBA, to be announced. And release when it's done. So hopefully it doesn't go the way that, Last Guardian has gone.
Yeah. They must be used to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I respect a company for wanting to be done with their game whenever they release it, but that kind of mentality definitely that can cause you major problems with just development cycle lasting forever, and then you never put the game out.
Yeah, that sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah. I'm realizing this is more and more like Last Guardian every time I hear about it. But yeah, the next thing was the concept trailer for PT or Silent Hills. And I know you just watched this just before we started recording. What'd you think of it?
It looks like a lot more hallways, but not in a bad way. That was pretty exciting. I don't like being scared, so horror games are something that I don't generally play, but I will likely end up checking that out with my girlfriend,
who is a lover of all things Silent Hill.
And
the poor girl.
She is so excited that it doesn't look like this is going to be shit. Yeah,
well, people involved, I'd really hope it wasn't.
Oh yeah, I'd be disappointed with the people involved, but yeah, it looks creepy. Looks fantastic too.
Yeah, it looks really good. A lot of elements of Japanese horror. I know you don't know too much about that, but as a small time horror connoisseur, there's a lot of stuff like that. It's very, very much reminds me of Fatal Frame in a lot of ways. Some of the ghosts and such. The giant monster. I mean, there was some really cool stuff there, like the giant monster kind of clawing down the hallway after you, like as sort of like almost like a time limit, sort of game mechanic. That'd be kind of cool. Being chased, of course, nothing new in a horror game, but the actively changing environments would be a really cool idea as well, like the door suddenly appearing on the wall after it's blown across the hallway,
Yeah, or as you're running by, all the doors shutting.
Yeah, like hopefully it's not too railroady, like too linear, but Some linearity and set pieces are fine, because that's obviously horror can't easily be too open world, but Silent Hill has a lot of exploration elements to it. At least the original few did, where the original 3 where you actually just got to walk around the town, and sure you were attacked, but I guess what I'm saying is hallways are fine, but maybe open it up a little bit. But I guess at the end of PT, when you actually see the Norman Reedus reveal, he's in the town, so they'll probably do a bit of that at least.
Yeah, I played a bit of Silent Hill 2, the HD remake with Kim as well. Yeah. Issues with it aside.
I don't want to talk about that. Keep going.
I can see how that would work in a situation where there's an overworld and trying to go back into where there's an overworld area where you walk around and then go into set piece areas like a hotel or. It's kind of
that it seems like then we'll go into there's a world like you said, an overworld, and then you go into missions is basically what it is, and I mean that could work, and I mean that kind of happened in the original Silent Hill and everything, where you went into the buildings and it was kind of a mission sort of thing, but it flowed a lot better. There was when you were in in the first one, when you were in the school, you still felt like you were in the town, not oh, this is the school mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
Sorry,
I'm sure there's way. I'm sure he's able to find out a way. Kojima would be able to get some way to make that make sense in a PS4, Xbox One era of game design.
Yeah, I'd hope so at least. I mean, it's Kojima and Del Toro, so I imagine that, and especially with Kojima doing the open world sort of thing for Metal Gear Solid's new one, Phantom Pain. That maybe it'll be, maybe I'm just I guess they are still concept trailers, so it's just showing a certain thing, some ideas they have.
And I wonder how much he's working on both games. Is it 50-50, 75-25?
Well, this seems very, very much like this is still in development stages and kind of dragging its feet until he gets Metal Gear Solid 5 done. Because I mean, they're still just showing concept trailers. These are clearly based around what they hope the gameplay to be, but definitely not anything but pre-rendered movie trailer gameplay stuff.
True,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen them demo the Fox engine enough over the last few years before any game was released on it to know that they can, with enough work, get those environments up and running pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Well, I mean, that's what's definitely going to help them in the development times, is that probably Phantom Pain worked out so many technical issues that the Fox engine would have had. Doing something that large on a new engine would an open world side sort of thing just brings out so many technical issues you would have.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure Silent Hills is going to be on a much smaller scale in terms of overworld, I would imagine, but
I mean, at least well, I mean, we're talking the difference between an entire small country that Phantom Pain is going to be, and a town in the Northeast somewhere.
Yeah,
very, very different. But I guess we'll move on from that, since we're already talking about Kojima, to the various gameplay trailers and stuff for Phantom Pain.
I'm really excited for that game.
Oh god, I can't bring myself to watch the gameplay trailers just because I don't want to spoil myself on anything. But I watched the Quiet and the DD, the Diamond Dog cutscene, and oh my gosh, I want to play the game so bad.
Yeah,
I'm. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to talk about one certain thing that happened that was really cool in the gameplay.
All right, go ahead.
It's kind of.
Go ahead.
Okay. So there's one point, Quiet will just zip around finding sniper points, and you'll see her sniper pointer, which I think was green, that'll just show up everywhere, like to the point where you can even time it with her to snipe someone, like 2 people.
Ah, cool.
But there's one point where you're being chased by a helicopter, this is clearly all designed. It was a specific mission, even named like TGS special mission.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with actual gameplay. Like I would assume so. Nothing with real point
Story
to it.
And yeah.
Where you're supposed to pick up a hostage and Fulton them away, and you start to get chased by a helicopter. And at one point, you're kind of pinned down. You're facing the front of the helicopter as it's shooting at you, and Quiet is kind of perched up to your left. And what you do is you pull out a grenade, and you throw it up into the sky, and Quiet snipes it. It hits the grenade and shoots it into the helicopter,
Jesus
blowing
Christ.
it up. Just.
That's pretty awesome.
I saw that happen and I'm like, I need this right now.
I need to play this immediately. That's pretty good.
Like, how does someone even come up with that gameplay design? I'm gonna throw a grenade in the air and we're gonna have the AI component shoot this into the open side of the helicopter.
But yeah, I mean, the trailer with Quiet was pretty cool as well. Her like turning invisible and shit, and then like Kiefer just once again knocking it out of the park with like the ridiculous like dark descent into insanity that apparently Big Boss is going through, and man, just the goddamn like stinger lines that guy has, just fantastic.
Yeah, I can completely understand why they didn't go with David Hayter.
Which is a shame, but I like David Hayter, but yeah, I agree.
Hayter's voice acting, if you play through the first game and then immediately go to like Metal Gear Solid 3, you can tell a difference just then. And he wasn't trying to be different. He just couldn't get the voice the same. And then if you go from 3 to Peace Walker, even then, playing the same character sounds so different.
It's very clear in Peace Walker so far that he heard his voice doing Old Snake.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
And I think the mistake they made was giving Big Boss the same voice in Metal Gear Solid 3. But going back, I don't think he had any intentions of getting an actual, real actor playing one of his characters.
But I mean, the other thing to remember about all this is that most of this technology is completely new. So how are you even going to, figure out that any of this was going to exist?
Mm-hmm.
The other trailer, of course, though, being Diamond Dog DD.
Yeah.
That I like that in the span of 4 days, a wolf grows from a puppy to full grown.
Yeah, they do that. They go that weird music that plays when you get into the counting on the clock when you're zipping through time.
Yeah.
They have a name for that item because you can do that in an emission.
Oh, really?
I think it was called the Phantom Cigar.
Oh, really?
So in the gameplay footage, he starts smoking a cigar and he's just standing there smoking, and they let it go for about maybe 4 or 5 days, and he's just standing there smoking a cigar for 4 solid days.
Yeah. I mean, it would be kind of a cool sort of, once again, speculation here, but it'd be a cool kind of like game mechanic to like show up early to a mission and then like get an advantageous spot like before anyone gets there. Like if you know of like a ammo drop or like something like that's going on, so you can like prepare beforehand and then like ambush people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see how it mixes with, because it's the gameplay on Ground Zeroes is clearly based off of evolved from the Peace Walker.
Yeah, Peace Walker
controls. It's clearly based off of that because you're building a base again. You're looking at soldiers and seeing stats on them again when you look through your binoculars. Mm-hmm. So it's more of that. It's like a full-on console release of a game that was made for handheld at first.
Yeah. Or at least conceptualized for handheld.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm still super excited. Being in the middle of Peace Walker and seeing Kaz like that, oh god, that's just kind of like ridiculous. And like the way he's acting and shit, like like I don't even know what happened, but I know shit went down that he's acting like that all of a sudden. You know?
Yeah,
like
complete 180 on his personality.
Jesus Christ, it's just ugh.
Like, is there like a? I'm sure they've mentioned it somewhere of like what the timeline is of how long Kaz was captured.
No, I don't know offhand.
Okay.
As I told you, I've been keeping it below the radar for me.
Okay.
That's what I did with a lot of 4 too. You know, right up to when you played it the first time, the day it came out. You know.
Yeah, 3 was the worst for like them spoiling the entirety of the story through trailers.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that was that most of the things that happened in 3 sounded like ridiculous, stupid rumors that ended up being completely true.
Yeah.
There's a guy in a spacesuit that is a flamethrower. You're lying to me. No.
Yeah, all those. Yeah, when they released those, the voice acting, like, here, play this part. What was it like? There's some company that had a way for you to try and get those roles, and they just publicly released them on their site. You pay $1, and you get like a description of the character, some lines of them.
Yeah.
And it was like fully explaining the boss, the background story behind the boss, and
oh jeez,
this is like years before the game comes out.
Yeah.
Did you see the map scale?
No.
For
the between like all the Metal Gear Solid games and this one.
Yeah.
That like all of them fit into a small portion of the current map for Phantom Pain.
Yep.
Yeah, that is insane. I wonder like how much of it is actually like worthwhile things and how much of it is just jungle. Like sort of like a Just Cause sort of thing. Like Just Cause's map, of course, is humongous, but it's a lot of islands. You know, and like obviously there's not going to be islands, or you know there might be, who knows, but you know like just sort of like areas of importance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's this kind of thing that happens with most open world games, is that there's
a lot of empty space
and a lot of repeated, generated content in terms of the same tree over and over again, kind of that kind of thing.
I mean, the one thing I remember saying this about 4 is that a lot of the places, I wish I could have spent more time there, just kind of going around. And I mean, that'll be cool that you can just kind of go back to it whenever you want. But I imagine, like, a lot of what I enjoyed about 4's environments was the stuff that was currently going on at that environment. And I imagine there's not going to be, like... I guess Peace Walker does have those sort of side missions where you, like, go around collecting stuff and doing that in the past environments. So maybe it'll do some stuff like that. I hope so, at least. Because then it'll give you not only, a way to get back to those locations, but a reason to go back.
There's a lot of weird side missions in Peace Walker.
Yeah. Like collecting confidential papers at a banana plantation.
Yeah,
that's the only one I've done so far.
there's one where you're taking someone out on a date.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is it Amanda?
No.
Oh. Is it Paz?
Yeah, or Kaz.
You can take Kaz or Paz out on a date?
It's like on that one beach in the very beginning area.
Oh, okay.
And you try to make them feel happy or something by just sending words to them.
Weird.
Yeah.
Speaking of Paz, what the fuck is with that like zooming in and seeing her in her underwear thing?
That was pretty fucked up.
I was like, what is this? What the fuck? I was like, no, I'm not. No.
Yeah. I can't. Yeah, that's bad. That's just downright bad.
And then, I mean, they do it again later with Amanda, but it's to see, like, into her broken leg. And I'm like, well, that actually makes sense there, but what the fuck with Paz? You know, stop at the schoolgirl outfit. We don't need to see a 16-year-old girl in her underwear. Also, that exchange between Kaz and Paz at the beginning was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was super duper Kojima.
Yeah, you should listen to the tapes if you're not doing that. Like before missions and like the briefing tapes. There's a lot of content in those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and listen to some of them.
It's
I tried doing I have the codec map to select, and it's just like one word or a few words from everybody. I was kind of disappointed with that.
Yeah, that's where the like the briefing stuff comes into play. It's pretty much the conversations you would get from the codec.
Oh, okay.
But you pick them.
Yeah.
And they unlock further as you go through the story and
okay.
so on.
I do like Amanda and Chico though. It's a interesting character for a Metal Gear game. Nothing much like it, you know, encouraging child soldiers and, you know,
yeah,
revolutionaries that are like actually fighting for something worthwhile. Usually it's like revolutionaries that are, you know, trying to blow up the earth.
Yeah.
But yeah, enough about that. Let's move on from Metal Gear, or When I Talk All Night. Yeah, I sent you this today, and you seem to really like it. D4, what is it? Dark Dreams Don't Die, I believe is what it's called, by Sweary 65.
Yeah, I think that's the name of it.
Oh my gosh, that looks like, yeah, it's Dark Dreams Don't Die. It's an Xbox One exclusive. But Sweary looks like he knocked it out of the park again. It looks like Deadly Premonition with a bad Boston accent and time travel. With like, you know, it was funny because when I saw it, it looked like bad David Cage style stuff. But like then I was like, but like in a really good way that it made me think, no, it's more like Telltale stuff. You know, like. It's like a Telltale game made by Sweary. It looks fantastic. Just the cast of weird characters and.
It is. The voice acting is terrible, but
yeah,
it is terrible in such a way that I really like it.
Yeah. Well, did you play any Deadly Premonition?
I have not.
You've never seen Twin Peaks, so you may not get a lot of it, but it's the same sort of like overacted, weird sort of voice acting that this has, and it's kind of played up for like a bad TV show sort of thing, you know. And Deadly Premonition, of course, whether he admits it or not, based on Twin Peaks. You know, for better or for worse, I think it's actually a good thing because Twin Peaks is a weird show, and that just kind of really works for it. But this looks like it could be a weird sort of like Thursday night primetime cop drama show, you know, like that they play on like the USA channel or something. But it looks like completely like right up Sweary's alley, and it's just fantastic.
I should play the Deadly Premonition if that's how it plays, a bit like that.
No, Deadly Premonition is a little different. It's actually quite a lot different.
Okay.
I can recommend Two Best Friends playing it. I'll give you an idea how it goes. Get the director's cut, definitely. There's a lot of ridiculous gunfight things. It's just like third person shooting kind of stuff. It's a very confusing game, and there's just long patches where you just have to drive from place to place, like real time, in this relatively big city where the only way you can bring up the map is going to pause and like bringing up the map, finding where you are, and like tracing the route where you need to go. It's a strange game, and it seems very much like you have to really stick it out to get the kind of crazy factor and enjoy that part of it.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might not play it now then.
Yeah, I'd at least recommend watching like a Let's Play of it or something. As I said, I recommend the Two Best Friends one, but I like them. I don't know how you feel about them.
I really haven't seen enough to have any opinion on them.
Yeah.
I've mostly watched Giant Bomb or...
Giant Bomb, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was stumbling at thinking of another group of people I watch.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, back to
Yeah.
D4. Looks really, really fun. I would definitely play that if I had an Xbox One, which I don't.
Yeah.
But it looks really, really cool. I would definitely play that. Weird, it looks not very pretty though. That was the only thing I would say about it. When I started watching it, I thought maybe it was going to be like a PlayStation Vita game or something like that. Like, genuinely thought that might be what it is.
It looks like there's elements of a PS2, PS3, and PS4. No, PS2 and PS3 mixed together. It's
Yeah. It looks like an early PS3 game.
yeah. It's
And I don't know if that's a style choice, that it just kind of looks sort of dirty and weird. But I mean, that's definitely not a deal breaker for me. It looks very much like Deadly Premonition. But I don't know if maybe that's like concept, like they're going to upgrade it or up-res it or something like that. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I would recommend at least a watch of the trailer. If you're looking for a little bit more than that, I'm going to include the quick look that Giant Bomb did in the description. You have anything more to say about it, John?
I mean, going back to the graphics there, I mean, it's very stylized in its whatever it's designed. You know, even though it doesn't look like it's pushing the system anywhere near its limit, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look polished.
It looks kind of cell shaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird, but it's Sweary. So what do you want?
I guess this is exactly what people want.
Yeah.
I heard good reviews on it too.
Yep. I guess the last thing I really have here, unless you have something else that you didn't tell me about before this, is the Final Fantasy 15 trailer.
Yeah,
which once again you saw just before we started recording. What did you think of it?
Yeah, with this, and I think they showed something off. I don't know if it was this E3 or last year's E3. They showed a bit of this game when they announced that it was no longer going to be called like Final Fantasy 13 Versus.
Yeah.
I think it is finally a Final Fantasy game that I look at and go, I want to play this.
Yeah, I definitely, like, I've been kind of not caring about Final Fantasy for the past few years, but I look at this and I'm like, even if it's a weird, Japanese drama, I still want to play this just for the idea that you can be cruising the countryside and all of a sudden there's a giant turtle monster that you have to get out of the car and fight.
Yeah, it looks fantastic if that's like in-game footage.
Yeah, that's very much like you were saying about Watch Dogs, or no, I think it was Watch Dogs that you were saying that's definitely a next generation game. This is definitely a next generation game. The one thing I would say about it is it looks very much like they're promising a lot with the like the emergent interaction with your teammates there, and I wonder how well that's going to work practically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of what seemed to be like pre-done animation of like them picking you up and like you like jumping off the back of another one and stuff like that. And I wonder how well, like, if that's going to look jerky, or like can you find situations where the animation doesn't work right or something like that.
Yeah, if they nail that, where the presentation on that feels right.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic for it to look even remotely like it does in that trailer.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just underestimating current technology in video games.
Well, they've been working on this since they announced Final Fantasy 13.
I was gonna say 2006 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I'm glad it became its own game.
Yeah. That way we don't have to deal with lightning anymore.
I don't think it ever had lightning in it. It was just they were making two Final Fantasy 13s at the same time.
which just seems kind of silly.
Like, I think it was supposed to be somewhat in the same universe, but have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if that's the case. I read up about it once, because I was trying to figure out why there were 3 Final Fantasy 13 games, and then I found out there were more. There are more than 3.
Yeah.
Because this was supposed to be part of it, and it's a whole mess. I haven't cared. Final Fantasy 13 I did not care for at all. Didn't care about any of the characters in like the 30 hours of a tutorial I played.
Yeah.
And they lost me there. I didn't care enough to try Final Fantasy 13-2 or 13-3 or anything that had any of those characters in it.
But yeah, Final Fantasy 15. That's gets a thumbs up for me for ideas at least. Hopefully the banter won't get old. 25 hours in, but there you go.
Yeah, I like the presentation. With the 2 Final Fantasies, I like how they look the most is Final Fantasy 9 and 10, and they're somewhat similar in like they're a weird like past, but with crazy future technology at the same time.
I was gonna say they're very much more fantasy than sci-fi.
Did I say sci-fi?
No.
Okay.
You said like a weird past with future technology, but I'm just saying they're very much more like especially 9 is very much more fantasy related than they have like the new technology and stuff, but definitely 10 like a fantasy sort of world with future technology, like being able to make orbs of water that you can play baseball or you can play blitzball in.
Yeah.
There's that magic. Forget.
Yeah, they had some crazy explanation of how it works, but they never really explained how people can hold their breath that long. They just said they just practice.
Practice makes perfect, John.
And I like Threads of Fate. There was also a weird kind of fantasy aspect to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems closer to that than Final Fantasy 13 was, or 12, which I guess. What?
Well, this one very much looks like a bit like what they were trying to do with 13, which seems to be like modern day mixed with like fantasy and sci-fi elements. And I don't know what it is about like just dudes hanging out in a car and cruising the countryside, and then like there are airships overhead, stuff like that. That just really looks awesome to me.
Yeah, I want to see how that is presented throughout the majority of the game. If it's something like that where it starts off with people who really don't really matter, just driving around and then getting caught up. Or
one guy's a prince.
A prince, okay.
Yeah, didn't you hear them? Like, they weren't joking. They weren't being, like, sarcastic when they said Your Majesty. Like, they actually were like, hey, they're talking. You didn't see them say, like, there was a second trailer that I watched. I can't find it anymore, but I think it might have been the one from E3 or whatever. But it was like, they were talking about how that one guy, the main character is a prince.
I think I remember back to a Wikipedia article I read that did mention that it was okay.
Yeah. Granted, I agree that it'd be kind of cool if, like, they were just nobodies that were just, like, cruising the countryside with swords and, like, fighting monsters and they get caught up in something big. But, I'm sure they can do whatever they want and they'll be fine.
Might be a prince that doesn't care about being a prince.
Well, he seems very aloof. Apparently, I've heard that he's not actually aloof. He's very much, like, awkward and weird. But I think they were just trying for a more serious angle on their trailer that involved giant turtle monsters.
Yeah. I just hope it's got a decent story.
Yeah. I did just realize something about myself, though. I tend to like more sci-fi settings for American and Western like games and stuff, and more like fantasy elements for like fantasy and like past stuff for like JRPGs and stuff like that.
I can totally see where you're going with that.
And I have no idea why, but that's just seems to be what I like. But I mean, once again, this is something completely different altogether. So maybe this is the turning point, John.
It might be cultural when I think about it, because we're pretty good at sci-fi, I think, as a culture, America, and Japan has a lot of more historical culture.
I guess what it might... I think you might have a good idea on that whole cultural thing. Like, maybe Japan does their science fiction future where we do our science fiction future, so it just makes more sense to me. But...
Less giant robots.
Well, I mean, that's a shame, but... but, I don't know, I just... it's just much more... like, any sort of, like, JRPG that's set in, like the dystopian future. Like, Final Fantasy VII is not my favorite game of all time. I just don't like the setting very much. Even though I like dystopian sci-fi futures, like, it just doesn't work for me for whatever reason. And that kind of thing. But, like, Blade Runner totally works for me. And I guess maybe this isn't a totally... it's not a rule for me, because, I mean, of course I love Snatcher, but that was a very Western style story, I guess, from a Japanese guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna stop rambling now. Yeah, you got anything else from TGS or upcoming stuff?
They showed off a little bit of the Ace Attorney game. I didn't watch the trailer. It's set in the past.
Oh yeah, that's the Sherlock Holmes one.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes is in it, and
Watson is a little girl.
Yep. But that is not abnormal in the Ace Attorney games for a little girl to be a sidekick.
Yeah, I figured. The one thing, Shadow of Mordor. Have you seen anything about that?
I've seen a bit of it from, I believe, E3. It sounds really cool, even though I don't care at all about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I don't think that it was really at TGS, but I think it's coming out pretty soon here. Clearly done our, research on a few, but not all here. But it looks... I know I watched that gameplay trailer. Whether or not it's true, it was truly a gameplay trailer or not, I'm not, who knows. But it looks really cool. I would wonder the scale of the game. That's really the only thing I have questions about, because the whole Nemesis system really only makes sense if you have kind of an expansive world, and if it's not an expansive world, then it's not really worth it,
Uh-huh.
But oh
well. I will look at how that plays after it's released and decide maybe at that point on if I will play it or not.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much for TGS and what's coming up right now. I have an unprecedented thing going on, though. We have another email.
What?
From, of course, again, Dialgadude, but...
Oh, okay. Hi.
It's completely different. This time, he didn't just send me the same email, which is very considerate of him. I would have still appreciated the exact same email to at least know that somebody's listening. But presumably, Dialgadude is our biggest fan, as he's sent the most emails. This is a call out that only one person will get, but suck it, Christine. She'll get really mad at me for saying that, but I don't care. But yeah, he talks about, he was obviously our last episode 10 was about Destiny, even if John hasn't listened to it.
Sorry.
He's talking about, he said something about how it was kind of weird that Bungie said that the game is different after 20 hours, that it's kind of presumptuous that, you'd sell a game and then tell people, well, you just have to play for 20 hours and then you'll like the game. That's a good many hours.
Yeah, I heard that they said you will really get into the real game once you get to the end game, and the response I come up with that is, why not make your whole game the end game?
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it as well.
I'm glad I didn't buy it. It's not a game that I would have enjoyed.
Yep, and breaking news, apparently Nick is already bored of it and has moved on to playing Mass Effect again.
All right. That's a good 10-year commitment.
Yep. I mean, I will say that they're probably going to keep evolving the game, keep adding more content and stuff, since they are supposed to be doing this for 10 years. But who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did see something today. I'm not going to include the link because I don't care enough. But they are, I guess they are revamping the loot system after they realized that the reason everyone was abusing those quote-unquote loot caves is because their loot system was kind of crap. So, yeah, I mean, at least they're listening, at least they're paying attention. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that game's going away anytime soon.
I think that game has to prove itself before, in this 10 years, before anyone really says good things about it.
They talked it up too much. I think it was impossible to meet any expectations for it.
Yeah. Don't tell that to Nick, though. He'll say something, That's right, Nick. I'm calling you out.
Did you call me out at all in the other episode, or?
No, we just said you were going to space.
Yep. Space camp.
But the end of Dalgadude's email here is a question for us, and Nick doesn't get to answer it because he's not here, because his phone died and other such stuff. But he asked the question, what is the most disappointing game that you got at full price? And I know mine, so I'm going to let you... Do you need to think about it?
I am thinking about it a bit, yeah.
Okay, I'll go first then. My first knee-jerk reaction is Black, the E3 or the EA shooter from the PlayStation 2 era. I'm staring at it right now, angrily. But I'm also looking. There's still a price tag on it, so I guess I did not get it full price because that says like $6 or something like that. But the thing that I did get for full price, and even more so because of the add-on that I had to buy for it, was what is it? Jesus, I can't even remember the name now. I'm staring right at it. Where are you? Looking at my games list, or my game holder thing. And, Steel Battalion, the new one, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I loved the original Steel Battalion. I still do. I love giant robots. This was literally, let's give you a giant robot control panel, let you go at it. I mean, I've played it before, and then we played it at PAX, so on and so forth. And then I heard that basically what they were going to do was try to combine motion controls in a semi-meaningful way while also letting you use a controller, which sounded really good to me. So I went out, I bought, it was a refurbished Kinect, but it was still Kinect, and then I bought the game. Total price, well over probably $150. Yeah. I played it a bit, tried to like it, really tried to like it, like forced myself to get past these ridiculously hard missions. Steel Battalion is a From Software game. It has a history of being hard, because of course Steel, From Software doesn't, candy coat their games very much. At least I think is it From Software? I think it is. I'll look it up while I'm talking. But man, just so disappointing. The motion controls, like you had to stand like statue still, and hope that you weren't, going to move in a weird direction that would take you out of the aiming, and like, oh god, everything about it just made you want to stab yourself in the eyes. And I hate it. It's just so disappointing. I wish, and it's Capcom. I'm sorry, From Software. Oh no, From Software did do Steel Battalion Heavy Armor, so there we go. I did get that one right. But it's so disappointing that that game had so much promise, and I don't know what it was. Somewhere along the line, the motion controls just destroyed everything that could have been good about that game. Like, had they gotten the motion controls down, I would genuinely say it would probably been a good game, but it is just incredibly hard.
Just eject by accident.
Well, I mean, you don't even have an eject anymore. You can pop out the top though and like pull out binoculars. That was like the only thing that worked right, is because you stood up and then you held your hand up, and it was like, hey, I feel like I'm actually holding binoculars. And then after a while, you felt kind of silly, but whatever. But yeah, it was just there was a lot of good things about it. Like the gameplay was Steel Battalion. It was like a slow. It was like a slow paced mech combat game. You know, like it was like a tank combat game almost, and it was just. But the gameplay was so hard because of these faulty controls. You go to there was a if your cabin got filled with smoke, you had to pull the vent cord, and you would end up turning on and off the headlights 4 times and then dying of smoke inhalation. It was just incredibly frustrating, and you could only do the whole grab the grenade and throw it out the bottom of the tank so many times before you just got tired of it. You know, it's everything about it was just very, very disappointing, and you know, just ugh.
Yeah. So I think I came up with an answer.
Okay.
I'm looking through my wall of games here, and I'm sure there might be a PS2 or PS1 era game that if I thought about it more, I might come up with one of them. But when I looked at the first Madden game that I got for the PS3, I got that I think full price with my PS3, and it was absolute shit. It was pretty much a demo, beyond it was just beyond terrible. It didn't have any presentation. It was a tech demo for football games. Removed every feature that was enjoyed of the other games, and was the example that EA gave when they said we are not doing this when going to the next generation this time. That is how bad it was. I think I ended up buying the PS2 version and playing that on my PS3.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's right, because before it died, you had one of those PS3s that could play PS2 games.
Yep. So, yeah, that was continuing my long line of never buying a game when I get a system, because I saved up enough to get the system and not a game with it.
Yeah.
So the Madden game was after a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I bought a PS2 adapter for the memory card before I bought a game, because I knew I'd be playing PS2 games on it.
I'm super depressed now thinking about Steel Battalion. Just ugh.
Yeah, that was a mess.
Ugh. He literally just had to sit completely statue fucking still, and then it still wouldn't work. It wouldn't work, man. Ugh. Sorry, I did listen to what you said, I promise.
Yeah, it's okay. I talk about sports games again.
Yeah. Well, no, I was kind of listening. Yeah. Anyways, I got nothing else. It's kind of a frank ending for the episode, but I'm done.
You out?
Yeah, kind of. I'm just out of stuff to talk about because of that horribly depressing things. Thanks, Dialga Dude, for the email, but
Yeah, write more. That's cool.
Yeah, everybody write more.
Every single person write. If all of you wrote an email,
we'd have probably 10.
What's the email address?
The email address is starminepodcast@gmail.com. I include it in all the descriptions with the funny little quip before it because I get bored while I'm editing these things. Definitely write us emails, ask us questions, comment on it. Whatever. You don't have to subscribe or comment on YouTube. You can just send me an email, and it can be between us. That's just fine. Just sounds really intimate when I say it like that.
Yeah, we're at Starmine Podcast, which hasn't been updated since July 11th. He should give me access to that too.
Yeah, probably.
There's still a space in the damn name on our Twitter.
Yeah, there still is. We also have a WordPress.
Whoa.
That I'm not sure of the web. Let me find it. It's StarminePodcast.wordpress.com. Which is basically the same sort of stuff. Nick, I know, has talked about putting some written stuff up there. he has a blog that he did a while ago about Dark Souls that he's going to finally do part 2 of, and then he's going to put it up. I have some ideas of stuff I'm going to do. I haven't decided yet exactly what I'm going to do. Every October I do a horror movie fest, as John knows, and anyone who actually knows me in real life knows, because it's always on my Facebook. I was thinking about doing maybe like a wrap-up video for them all or whatever, but usually my soul is pretty destroyed by the end of October, so that may not happen. I may just do a little write-up of everything and put it on there, or, have Nick do a thing on the tweeters for me.
The Twitter chatter.
Yep. But yeah, that's all of our plugs for our own stuff. Feel free to ignore most of them, but please send me emails. I'm lonely. So alone.
Yeah. You hear me drop out of the call.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Unless John has something more to say, that's the end.
I'm going to probably go play Hearthstone.
John's going to go play Hearthstone.
I think I mentioned it.
Color me surprised. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.